So then over the next few years, I guess, I was just a freelance journalist. I was writing fashion, travel, lifestyle, art, a bit of everything really. I was interviewer and reviewer at Stylebible. I worked for Peaches Geldof's magazine called Disappear Here, Gunpowder Whisper Mag, a couple bits for The Guardian, all sorts. You know, because I was doing these interviews, I started doing a bit more music than fashion and beauty. The emphasis kind of was going on music, and that led me to my first ever kind of on-screen interview, and that was for a website called Bring the Noise, which, you know, a lot of music journalists and bloggers kind of start by, you know, doing online magazines like that. And that's really how it started me on this road of doing like music content and stuff. You know, it's been shaky along the way, it's still shaky at times. And that's the thing with interviews, you just never know how they're going to go and what situation you're going to find yourself in. So it's always a little bit hairy and a bit scrappy. So yeah, I ended up becoming a reviews editor at Bring the Noise, but I gave that up because once you get to know the bands and they become your friends, it doesn't feel right to review their music, because if it's not good, you don't want to lie and not be genuine in your writing, but at the same time you don't want to hurt your friends because you know how much time, money and effort they've put into that record. And I also didn't like it when, you know, the writers below me would send their submissions in and I'd have to edit them, and if I thought they were rubbish or I really disagreed with what they said, I found that hard as well, because I don't like to tell people that they've not done a good job. So I just realised that role wasn't for me. I wasn't kind of harsh enough perhaps, and I just didn't get much enjoyment out of reviewing music, because I feel like it's such a subjective thing anyway. Like one person's favourite album could be someone's like worst album. Went from there, what did I do then? Some more music magazines like Hit the Floor, and then started working with Relentless and did a lot of interviews for them at various festivals and events. 2012 I was the official interviewer for Reading and Leeds, which involved, I think it was about 30 interviews overall, and then at the same time on that same weekend I was also working for Relentless. So I was doing interviews all day for the festival and then working till 3 in the morning doing the late night tents for Relentless and interviewing artists there. So that was full on. So that's why it's hard when people maybe give you negatives of interviews, because they don't know that you've actually done maybe 20 interviews before that point, that you didn't get to bed till 4 and were up at 7, and that you didn't get any time to prep or research ahead of the interview. People don't take that into account, and that's always the tricky bit. After that, I've worked with a few other brands. I did Britain's Next Top Real Role Model, I was a presenter for that. Did some more things for Relentless and the Kerrang Awards at the Sanctum, did some presenting there. I actually created a pilot show for a channel that very nearly got commissioned. Unfortunately it didn't work out in the end, because the commissioner, who was like loving it and thinking it was going to go ahead, ended up leaving the company. So we were back to square one, which was very frustrating, but that was like my dream thing almost happened, so that was quite devastating when that didn't work out. Sorry guys, camera died. So the next one is something I forgot. This was in 2010, the summer of, and I think I've forgotten it because I wanted to block it out of my head, if I'm honest with you. It's one of these things that frustrates me every time I think about it. Anyway, me and a couple of friends filmed a pilot for an extreme sports and music TV show. We filmed it the whole summer. We're at loads of festivals. We lived out the back of a van. We interviewed top names from BMXing, skating, motocross, all sorts. We were at Red Bull X Fighters. We even filmed with Tony Hawk. And basically the production team let us down, the production house. And we weren't happy with how they tried to get it out to TV channels or editing it. Everything was just too slow, it wasn't happening. So we were like, okay, we'll take it off your hands, you know, we can all edit, do stuff. We are happy to go and speak to people about it. And they were basically like, we own the footage, you can't have it. And the frustrating thing is, we're like, fine, then okay, if we can't have it, can you do something? And they wouldn't do anything with it. So basically this footage has been sitting in a cupboard in an office in Devon for 6 years doing nothing. And we think, even if we don't make money from it, even if it doesn't make, a job for any of us, it's just a shame people can't see it. It's a shame we can't even watch it back, even just for, memories. So yeah, that's one of my really annoying life things, I guess. Another job I forgot to mention, which was one of the worst too, was working at Next. Now I thought, retail, fairly straightforward, but Next was one of my least favourite jobs of all time. Basically I was thrown in at the deep end, they didn't give me enough training, and I was just left on the till, not knowing how to use the till. And the thing with Next is they've got the Next directory, so there's a whole different system there you need to learn too, about people ordering from that or collecting things from that, and I had no clue. And I was calling people saying, can you help me, as this queue just got bigger and bigger, and they just didn't want to help me. I don't know what it was, why they had this bad attitude. It was just horrendous. So I stuck with it for a few months, but I could not wait to leave. And actually retail is quite exhausting. You're on your feet all day, so kudos to anyone that works in retail. I have a lot of respect for you. So I obviously worked at Cheer Up Clothing as well, and that was with Ed, who you might know from the Band to Wild, and Matt from Unit 6, and there are obviously a few others involved, like lovely Rochelle, and all the photographers we worked with, and the models like Holly that we'd regularly have on the shoots. So there I was just helping with the general everyday stuff, helping with, press, working with other people, organising shoots, that sort of thing. And then I also helped to launch a section of the website called the Tea Room, where we invited musicians and people down to the office to perform. So in the very early days of their careers, some of them, so that was quite cool to make happen. So like Luna George came down, Don Broco, We Are the In Crowd. Oh, I can't remember the rest. There's quite a few. Just check the website. It's probably still up somewhere. But obviously when you work with friends, there's some great advantages of working with friends, but also disadvantages. And I came to a point where I thought, this isn't really working for me anymore. So I moved on to different things, but I'm still in touch with them all the time, and we still have meetings, in fact. So I guess to a degree I'm still in the loop and still in the Cheer Up family, but I don't work there every day in the office like I used to. I also worked as a PR for a little while. I worked looking after a metal band, I looked after a painter, I looked after a vintage clothing brand, quite varied, and I think that was really useful for me to see how it works on the other side of things. So having kind of an insight into being a journalist and a PR, I kind of sympathise with both sides. I know what annoys PRs about journalists, and I know what annoys journalists about PRs, so hopefully I can kind of, appease both parties. I knew I'd forget something, so obviously I launched my channel called The Sleeve as well, because I wanted to be able to have kind of a TV show, online TV show, that talked about alternative culture or things influenced by music, so whether that's album artwork or merchandise or tattooing, all those sorts of things. I wanted somewhere where I could put all that sort of content. And also in the last year I've done a bit more radio, so I was on Kerrang Radio I think 3 or 4 times last year, and Hoxton Radio a couple times as well, so that's fun. Oh my god, I've missed out the main job I've had for the last 8 years. I was music and fashion editor at Culture Compass, but recently they kind of changed the format of the site and changed the content, and they wanted a lot less kind of rock music involved, and it just didn't seem a good fit anymore. So I decided to leave and just concentrate on my blog and YouTube channel this year, and that's where you find me now, just plugging away, hoping it's going to work out basically. So yeah, that's my working history in a nutshell, and I'm sure I've probably forgotten some other things as well. Ooh. Anyway, I don't know if that was interesting at all or an absolute snore fest, but anyway, I wanted to make these videos to show you how up and down, you know, your career timeline can be, how it can go off in different tangents, and how some things lead to other things, how failures lead to successes, and how it's almost a bit pointless to plan because you just never know what's going to happen, and you just got to adapt as you go along. And also because, you know, creative industries aren't easy. You will get a lot of knockbacks, you'll get a lot of broken promises, people flaking out, things not going to plan, but you need to be resilient. You need to keep knocking on those doors, you need to keep going. And I just wanted to remind you guys, if you find yourself in a slump right now, that just got to pick yourself up and just keep trying, because there will be someone that will give you a go at some point. I'm telling myself that all the time. So yeah, if you've got any questions about any of the jobs or anything related to it, put them below. And as always, please give me some ideas for videos, please. I beg you. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.